Paul Joseph Watson is a channel where I don't really care what the video is, but I know he's going to drop some fucking knowledge on me and my community. So I like reacting to everything he says. I think this guy's a fucking genius. I genuinely believe that everybody should go subscribe to this channel. Like, one of the most beneficial channels to actually understand what the media is hiding from you and what's going on in the world.
I'm sorry, but this is all very weird. So some random guy drove nearly 300 miles from Rotherham to a tiny village in Devon, to the home of outspoken right-wing politician Anne Widdecombe, murdered her, didn't steal anything, then immediately drove 300 miles back home. Police say no evidence it was politically motivated.
At this stage...
What the fuck? Are you noticing how many right-wing assassinations there are? When was the last left-wing assassination? It, like, never happens. Yeah, drove 300 miles across the country, kills one random right-wing politician, drives 300 miles back. It must have been coincidence. Surprise, surprise, the person assassinated was white again. Hey, that thing they say never happens happened again. What a shock.
There is nothing to suggest that it was politically motivated.
And not to speculate on what happened.
We're aware of online and public speculation, particularly with regards to motive.
Yeah, just don't think about it, guys. Don't think about anything. Trust what we're saying. Trust what we're saying. Don't think. Just believe. I'll believe my eyes, thank you.
Again, I urge people not to share or engage with that speculation. It's unhelpful.
Despite CCTV footage showing the man loading a wooden stick into the vehicle before he set off. Okay, then that makes perfect sense. Anne Widdecombe's home was so well known it was literally called Widdecombe's Rest and listed on Google Maps. And the property featured on a television show broadcast just days before the attack.
It's nice, isn't it?
Hello.
Bro, this is why influencers who make their, like, address publicly known are just fucking retarded, bro. I mean, Jesus Christ. You have to, it's not paranoia at this point. It's just hypervigilance. You have to keep your head on a fucking swivel, man. You gotta be careful there, especially if you're going against the curve of what people want to think, which is, everybody should be allowed to do everything. Yeah, like replace you and fucking outbreed you and become parasites in society and destroy our country's values and beliefs.
How do you do? Angus.
Hi.
Well, it's incredible of you. I can see why you're living here.
Not premeditated, though. No political motive. Okay,
yeah, I bet.
The suspect is being reported as having learning difficulties. As if having learning difficulties suddenly means you're incapable of harbouring political grudges. While it apparently does mean you're still capable of embarking on long-haul journeys. Using a car that neighbours said was so out of use, it literally had weeds growing out of it. Learning difficulties that didn't stop the suspect completing a grueling car journey, which would take at least 4.5 hours through the morning rush hour, arriving in time to carry out the murder by 12:30, having only set off just before 8 AM. No stops for fuel either, meaning he must have filled up the previous day, suggesting it was planned. It just feels impossible to do so if it wasn't premeditated. From Rotherham at 7:50, you're hitting traffic straight away getting on the motorway that sits between Sheffield and Rotherham, and then driving down the M1 past Nottingham and Derby without hitting traffic at 8:30, then...
Bro, they really just want you to be mindless, retarded goys who just consume and accept everything that you hear about in the political space without doing any research yourself. Like, so many left-wing political talking points be completely dismantled if you Google it for 5 fucking seconds, or if you fact-check anything. It's embarrassing, bro. The shit going on in the UK and even here is just so inherently deceptive, and they want you to be mindless consuming retards. It's just so fucking pathetic. And the worst thing is, it works. It works. Think about how many friends you have that accept this shit as reality, and then when you talk to them about statistics, they start screaming and crying that you're a Nazi racist. And I guarantee every single person who watches my videos, who has talked about statistics to their friends openly, has been called a Nazi or a racist. I guarantee you that.
Putting through Birmingham at 9 AM.
On the face of it, if a bloke drives 300 miles at breakneck speed, I've done the maths, I've looked at the number of miles and the number of hours that he had to do that journey, carrying what looks very like a weapon in his pocket, all the way down to an elderly lady's house and bludgeoned her to death, unless he's got some link with her that we don't know about, then that's looking to me like it's pretty political.
The first guy, they arrested him, then released him shortly after. Presumably the driver of the mysterious black VW who parked oddly in a lay-by, then walked up to her house. Don't know what happened to that detail, it appears to have just vanished. But both guys they rushed to assure us were white British.
White British man.
Something they never do when the suspect is non-white.
True.
Former Met police detective
Absolute true. If the person is white, they say it immediately. If they are colored, an individual. It's like, what are we doing and how do people not notice this shit?
Roy Ram said a political motive couldn't be ruled out.
It is a remote location. She is a public figure. What led the person there? You could argue that initially there is evidence of a planned attack.
Wickham herself appeared on TV to rail against establishment attacks on Nigel Farage just days before her death.
Does this establishment of which you and Nigel speak actually exist?
Yes, I believe it does. Now, I didn't always believe in that theory, but I do think now that different parts of the establishment act in ways which I think are extremely questionable.
I mean, come on. Even people like Piers Morgan are saying it makes no sense. Who just gets up one morning and decides to randomly murder a 78-year-old woman at the other end of the country for...
Absolutely insane. They have differing political views, so they must be murdered. It's just these people are psychotic, guys. They really are.
For absolutely no reason whatsoever. Was it just a schizo who decided to do it after seeing her on TV? Maybe. But she had a lot of haters. The rainbow people absolutely despised her, as evidenced by the disgusting celebratory outpouring on Blue Sky after her death was announced. The police assured us it wasn't political, even as they were questioning the wrong suspect. But don't speculate, because the family says they don't want her death hijacked for political purposes.
And you know what's crazy? A lot of policemen in the UK and a lot of government officials are writing fake testimonies by their family, things they never said, saying they don't want this death to be politicized, even though the family themselves never said that. And that's really, truly how brainwashed the citizens of the UK have become by the over-censorship of their government.
Even though members of her family were literally stood side by side with Nigel Farage and other Reform Party leaders at the eulogy. Farage being the most prominent skeptic of the official narrative, saying he believes 100% that it wasn't a burglary gone wrong and that it was almost certainly
Fake testimonies are fucking disgusting, and everybody who was responsible for tweeting out a fake testimony from a grieving family to once again wash their hands of any political outrage should be fired immediately. Disgusting, disgusting policy the police continue to do.
Meditated. And lo and behold, right before I started recording this video, they announced counter-terror police leading Anne Widdecombe investigation, which could only mean, in all likelihood, that it was politically motivated, after they spent the last 3 days insisting it wasn't.
There is nothing to suggest that it was politically motivated.
There it is.
And chastising anyone who suggested it might be as engaging in dangerous speculation.
There
I
it
urge
is.
people not to share or engage with that speculation.
Many have likened Widdecombe's murder to that of Jill Dando, the BBC presenter who was murdered on her own doorstep in Fulham. The authorities basically framed a guy with learning difficulties called Barry George, who actually went to prison for years before his conviction was overturned. Dando's killer was never found, his motive never uncovered, and after everything that's happened, Dr. David Kelly, the Welsh choir boy, Henry Novak, they're still surprised that people don't trust the police.
Yep. You can't trust these people who run your country, man. And the reality is you can't trust anybody, so much so that you don't fact check everything they're saying. And I highly recommend everybody do that. Watch content creators, right? So like, here's what I want you to do. I want you to watch content creators, and I want you to have ChatGPT or Grok or Google pulled up right next to it. And whenever they make a claim, I want you to just look into it, because then you will realize the people who are trying to manipulate you and get you to be mindless puppets to push their agendas versus the creators who simply want you to be informed. And notice the ratios. Like, for example, I want you to, and this is for my old gotcha viewers, I want you to watch someone like Ziox, someone who is contracted by the company themselves to push their talking points versus watch my old videos on Genshin Impact and well, why don't you just find out who the guy was being more truthful and who the guy who was right about literally everything was. Anyways, great video again. See you on the next one. Peace.